This one, the members of parliament can also stop the debates they're having among themselves and try to come to a certain conclusion. There's a major debate that opened on parliament on Tuesday after majority MPs began to push to have the speaker declare the Talensi seats in the House vacant, just because a member of parliament who occupies that very seat has been installed as a chief. Okay, as a paramount chief of his area. Now, we're told that, well, it's not formal, it's not gazetted and all. What is legal and non-legal about it? What is the correct interpretation? I'll start with you, legal practitioner.
Yes. The issue of whether you are a chief or not a chief is not a matter of law. It's a matter of fact. It's a factual situation. Are you from the right lineage? Have you gone through the customary processes to become a chief? It is that makes you a chief. It is not the entry of your name in a register that makes you a chief.
But when do you inform Parliament?
It is not the gazetting of your name that makes you a chief. In fact, what I'm saying is supported by law, and in a case, I've forgotten the case, it had to do with some chief somewhere when the Supreme Court made those utterances. So, with this particular issue, I think that the Member of Parliament is the right person who should inform Parliament of his status. It is also within the powers of the Parliament to summon him to come and tell the Parliament
to clarify
the situation. It is also within their laws, their standing orders, that if you miss sitting for a number of days, and I've heard ever since they opened the Parliament, he's not been there. That can be a way of expelling.
How many days is it?
Yeah, but these are all open to Parliament for them to use these opportunities to clarify the situation. So I disagree. Yesterday I heard Bafwe talk about going to the ministry to find out. The ministry is just there. No, it is not the ministry that makes somebody a chief. It's not your name in a paper or a register that makes you a chief. It's not the gazetting that makes you a chief. It is a fact. Have you been crowned? Have you been enscaled?
It is the processes that you go through that makes you a chief.
Have you gone through those processes? So I think that the Parliament would have to look at all these things and decide on the fate of this particular
as far as trying to interpret what the law says, or what we think will be procedural, so to speak, Mr. Chairman Tejako, what is their ambiguity about? Let's say somebody is from Eweland or Voltaland, or let's say Fantiland, or from Ashanti or wherever, is installed today as a chief, but the person occupies a vital position like a parliamentary seat, but formally hasn't come to inform. So we wait. If it's a year before it's gazetted, then we come to do that and say formally now Parliament has recognized you.
Let me use this opportunity to say good morning to, he's called the Tongo Runner, my colleague, my colleague as far as, or outgoing colleague in Parliament, Honorable Robert Musori. I don't know, I know he's Tongo Runner, but he's now something, I don't know.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I'm not too sure what it is. He used to sit next to me, and I am extremely happy for him. I want to believe, I stand to be corrected, I want to believe that in the Fourth Republican dispensation, this is the first time a sitting MP has exited to go on to become a chief, minor or major. Okay. All of us are aware that there is a constitutional injunction which says that you cannot do both. You cannot be a traditional ruler and also actively participate in partisan politics. My friend that is learned here is now telling me, I don't know, it was because that was going to be the thrust of my argument if he had asked me first. But because I don't know, I will defer to his superior knowledge that who is a chief? I think fundamentally the question we must ask is that who is a chief? Is it by what is done traditionally, or by what must be done by statute? I don't know. I was of the view that, and I say this as a lay person, I was of the view that you needed some gazetting to confirm the status. That is what I thought. So yesterday, when the arguments broke up, I thought it was completely premature. In any case, our own orders provide that if you exempt yourself for 15, not sitting days.
Sitting days. So we can.
That is what I believe the standing orders provide for. Then you can be expelled. Okay, you can be questioned and expelled. I don't want to believe that the 15 sitting days. I'm not sure. I don't think that the 15 sitting days.
That is if you absent yourself without permission.
Without permission. If you absent yourself without permission. First and foremost, have we even asked whether Honorable Robert Musori, as he is,
as he then was.
Oh, he still is.
No, well, he's not a chief, so he has a title.
Okay, if the Tongo runner has asked permission from the Speaker, and the Speaker granted it, I think it is a little premature. First and foremost, I want to.
By yourself, you do acknowledge that he has a title. Traditionally, he has a title. He's a chief.
He does. Oh, and I'm very happy.
In the traditional sense, you acknowledge that he's a chief.
He is a chief. But I am saying that it depends on what the law provides for. I was of the view that it is when you are gazetted that it is official. That is the position I hold. Going forward, I think that this matter will come to a closure one way or another. I am saying that my friend that is Leonard and myself, as we sit here, we are not even aware that whether Togo Rana has written to Mr. Speaker to say that I want to exempt myself for this and that reason, and Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Speaker, has consented to his request. We are not even sure. I think it is jumping the gun. I think it is premature. I don't know what anybody seeks to achieve in this. This matter will finally settle, and if it settles, all the consequential issues will be catered for. I think some people are spoiling for a fight, but what belongs to you belongs to you. Mm-hmm. This belongs to us. It will always remain with us.
Mm-hmm. I know that in Tree Parlance they say ekutia. Your last one was just ekutia. Ekutia. Just taking a jab.
But ekutia in the
yeah, it's an idea. But there's an issue of the judgment death report being presented to a president. We're told today, and we know that the so-called Commissioner Justice Yewapa, who is a Supreme Court Justice nominee, is that it? Yeah. All right. He has to be vetted.
That's so.
Yes, okay. I think this week or next week, because I've seen the adverts in the newspaper.
But let's talk about the work of the Judgment Death Commission itself. Do you think it's been worth it so far? And now that we've come to a stage where the report will be formally presented to the president,
I think there has been very mixed views about the work of the Judgment Death Commission.
What's your view?
I will wait to see the report. You see, sometimes, again, you alluded to what the tree people say. I will allude to what the elders say. When the face of the drum is there, you don't beat the side. The real issues about judgment death, what occasions the noise, were payments, some specific payments. My view is that when the whole thing was set up, I didn't hear an exhaustive interrogation of the ones that were causing the sound and the heat.
Like?
Oh, payment to CP, payment to Wyoming, payment to Isophoton, payment to... There were, I mean, I can completely agree. There were payments for land. There were lands that were acquired and all of it. Is okay. I think it is all about it. I think what had become most contentious was what had been termed dubious judgment debt payments. But I want to be charitable and say that the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating. Now, today, at long last, the report will be presented. And when the report is presented and it's made public, I think that all of us will have the right to interrogate it. And then, as to whether the positions people were taking before, during, and after the setting up of the Judgment Death Commission, I think that the report will speak about whether people were right or people were wrong.
You know, the Judgment Death Commission had a remit. It was not supposed to go into matters that are already in court because of the fact that judges and the court are jealously guarding against their preserve. You are not allowed to comment, make prejudicial comments on matters that are before court. So a case like Wayomi would not have been part of the Judgment Death issue. A case like Sofoton, which is in court, would not have come. So that is the explanation to the point there. Because and when the commission was established, people were raising, you remember the lawyers for Wayomi were making some objections to appear before the commission. I don't know whether you knew about that or because we have short memory, we've forgotten. But the fact simple is that
you're sounding like President Muhammad.
I come from that stock, isn't it? So
I'm not surprised.
So the fact is that those matters would not have naturally gone to judgment.
Very well. Thanks for the education.
Yeah. But the Judgment Death had a mandate, which is to say that they should look at past judgment death, how we incur those judgment debts, and then the way forward. If you look at that remit, I'm sure the Judgment Death has done its work. At least we are able to know from the Judgment Death sentence that in Ghana here, we are unable to keep records. There were several occasions when the Bank of Ghana appeared before the Judgment Death only to say that they can't find their records. You remember the GMPC drill ship matters where we didn't know where the money was paid into which account and those things. At least it has enlightened us and we are able to see how we can move forward and correct the mistakes. So I think on that score alone, I think the Judgment Death has done some work. And today, if they present the report, we'll see the full report. It is a saying that it is only when a frog dies that you see its full length. So when the report is submitted, then we'll see the full length of that report. And then we can now make an informed comments on it.
But you would say that perhaps the unnecessary politics surrounding it is needless.
I don't think that there was too much politics surrounding this. It was a. You see, that is what I said. The challenge about Judgment Death has been what had come up and that had come up that had never come up. If you are doing anything and like you said, drew my attention to it, you ring fence the irritants. What do you expect people to say? Be that as it may, let us look at what the report says. Let us look at the remedies it proffers. We probably will not go through this scandal, this nightmare that this country has been subjected to under this government.
Okay.